My name is Alex Thompson, and I've always been the kind of guy who minds his own business. I bought my house in Willow Creek Estates 5 years ago, a quiet suburban neighborhood in the Midwest with manicured lawns, white picket fences, and an HOA that ruled with an iron fist. At first, it seemed like a dream: safe streets, community events, and that sense of order everyone craves after a chaotic city life. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares, especially when petty tyrants get involved. It all started with my dog, Buster. He's a big, lovable German Shepherd mix, rescued from shelter. Buster loves to roam, and our backyard was his kingdom. The problem? The HOA had strict rules about fencing. No chain link, no privacy fences over 6 feet, and absolutely no unsightly barriers that could detract from the neighborhood's aesthetic. My existing wooden fence was grandfathered in, but it was old and starting to sag. Buster had figured out how to dig under it a few times, leading to complaints from neighbors about him terrorizing their flower beds. Terrorizing? The guy rolls over for belly rubs from strangers. The first letter came politely enough. "Dear Mr. Thompson, please repair your fence to comply with Section 4.2 of the covenants." I fixed it, no big deal. But then came the inspections. Karen Wilkins, the HOA president, a woman in her 50s with a perm that screamed, "I peaked in high school," started showing up unannounced. "Alex, your grass is a 1/4 inch too long," she'd say, clipboard in hand. Or, "That bird feeder is attracting squirrels. It's a nuisance." I tolerated it because, hey, community standards. But things escalated when Buster escaped again during a thunderstorm. He ended up in the yard of Tom Hargrove, the HOA vice president, who claimed Buster attacked his cat. The cat was fine, just a scratch, but Tom filed a formal complaint, demanding I either rehome Buster or face fines. The HOA board voted to threaten me with a lien on my property if I didn't secure my animal properly. That's when the real threats started. At the next meeting, Karen stood up and said, "Mr. Thompson, if you can't control your beast, we'll have no choice but to pursue legal action. We've had enough of your disregard for our rules." The room murmured in agreement, a bunch of busybodies nodding like they were at a witch trial. I left fuming. Legal action? Over a dog who just wanted to play? I decided right then, if they wanted to play dirty, I'd play smart. I pored over the HOA covenants that night, highlighter in hand. Buried in the fine print was a clause about permissible barriers for animal containment. It allowed for fences that were functional and non-permanent, as long as they didn't alter the property's appearance permanently. Electric fences weren't explicitly banned. In fact, they were mentioned in an addendum for rural properties, but Willow Creek was suburban. Still, the language was vague enough to exploit. I smiled. Revenge was brewing. The next day, I called a local fencing company specializing in electric setups for farms. "I need something discreet," I told the guy, Mike. "Invisible but effective." He recommended an underground electric fence system. Wires buried around the perimeter, connected to a transmitter. Buster would wear a collar that beeps and shocks if he crosses the line. It was humane, low voltage, just enough to deter, and completely invisible. No visual impact on the neighborhood's precious curb appeal. Installation took a weekend. Mike and his crew dug shallow trenches, laid the wire, and tested it. Buster got trained with flags marking the boundary. He learned quick. After a couple of zaps, he stayed put. I felt a surge of satisfaction. The HOA couldn't complain about something they couldn't see. But oh, they tried. A week later, another letter. Unauthorized modifications to property boundaries. Cease and desist or face fines up to $500 per day. How did they even know? Turns out, Tom Hargrove had spied the flags during training and ratted me out. Karen showed up at my door, demanding to inspect. "This is a violation, Alex. Electric fences are for farms, not our community." I crossed my arms. "Show me where it says that in the covenants." She huffed and puffed, but couldn't point to a specific ban. "We'll see about this," she snarled, storming off. The fines started rolling in, $100, then $200. I ignored them, documenting everything. Emails, photos, even recordings of our conversations, legal in my state. I hired a lawyer, Sarah Klein, a shark who specialized in HOA disputes. These associations think they're untouchable, she said. But vagueness in rules is their Achilles heel. Meanwhile, I upped the ante. The system allowed for above-ground extensions if needed. So, I added a few visible posts with warning signs. Caution, electric fence. Not obtrusive, just enough to make a point. Neighbors whispered, but no one confronted me directly. Buster was safe, and that's what mattered. Then came the incident that changed everything. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon. I was mowing the lawn when I heard a yelp, not from Buster, but from outside my yard. Rushing to the front, I saw Karen Wilkins on the ground, clutching her ankle. She'd been inspecting again, this time trespassing onto my property to check the fence line. In her zeal, she tripped over one of the training flags and, apparently, brushed against a test wire I'd left exposed for calibration. Zap. Mild shock, nothing serious, but enough to startle her into falling. She screamed bloody murder. Assault. You electrocuted me. Neighbors gathered as she called the police. Officers arrived, took statements. I showed them the system specs. Low voltage, pet safe. Ma'am, this is like a static shock from a doorknob, one cop said, chuckling. But Karen wasn't laughing. She filed a police report for assault and battery, claiming I'd booby-trapped my yard. The HOA escalated to DEFCON 1. They sued me for violations, seeking injunctions to remove the fence, plus damages for Karen's injuries, a sprained ankle, and emotional distress. They even tried to fine me retroactively for endangering the community. My mailbox overflowed with legal threats. Sarah was thrilled. This is gold, Alex. They've overreached. We countersued for harassment, trespassing, and defamation. I claimed the HOA had created a hostile environment, selectively enforcing rules against me while ignoring others, like Tom's overgrown hedges or Karen's unlicensed home business. Discovery was a circus. We subpoenaed HOA records, revealing years of favoritism. Board members had waived fines for friends, ignored violations by insiders. Karen's emails were damning. One read, "We need to make an example of Thompson before others get ideas." My electric fence? Fully compliant under the ambiguous clauses. And the shock? Negligible. Expert testimony from an electrician confirmed it was safer than a cattle prod. The court date arrived in the county courthouse, a stuffy room packed with nosy neighbors. Judge Harlan, a no-nonsense veteran, presided. The HOA's lawyer, a slick guy named Reynolds, painted me as a rogue homeowner. Mr. Thompson installed a dangerous device, endangering residents. Mrs. Wilkins suffered greatly. Sarah dismantled him. Your Honor, the covenants allow functional barriers. My client's fence is invisible and humane. Mrs. Wilkins trespassed. Video evidence from Mr. Thompson's security camera shows her entering without permission. We played the footage, Karen sneaking around, poking at wires. The courtroom murmur.